What's going on, everybody? The Aerie Lord is back for another Fear the Walking Dead review vlog. I'm actually getting this one out earlier to you guys. Had some free time to do it. I usually do these Monday afternoon, night, but I'm actually doing this only a few minutes after watching the episode Sunday night. And so if you like this format better because it's a little bit more immediate, just let me know moving forward. But this was a fun episode, and obviously I was glued to the screen because I was interested in the helicopter group, seeing as how it took Rick Grimes, and there's a lot of crossover, and it seems like this is, I don't know the major villainy group, but it's basically like what the future of the show is, maybe the purpose of what the Walking Dead universe is, like where the future of the world is going after the apocalypse, because you have civilization, you have the apocalypse, you have raider groups surviving, you got the Negans and the Hilltops and the Kingdoms, but what's the next step after that? And I think that this is the answer. And obviously we're, Rick Grimes, the hero of the series, is being thrust into this group in the movies, and we will have to wait for that. But this was a bit of a preview into it from the perspective of Althea. And I mean, it did and didn't go in directions that I expected, which wasn't a bad thing. It focused a lot on Al's character development. We really got to learn things about her that we never knew before. Her last name, the fact that she had a brother, the fact that she had, I don't know if they said what her job was, but she had a job that she was doing it to the end. She explains to the helicopter soldier, whose name is Isabel. We actually have a name for her. At the end, we get her name, Isabel. Althea says to her that tape is the last memory. So basically, the episode starts out that they're very untrusting of each other. There's this really cool trick. I mean, in terms of, I always say about The Walking Dead reinventing itself in terms of the walkers. You guys have heard me say this. Two big things in this episode. When Althea is tied to the car and she gets the walker, it goes through the fence, the barbed wire. It walks through the barbed wire. It's carrying the barbed wire because it's a slow, stupid, ignorant monster. And she's able to use the sharp barbed wire to cut her handcuffs loose, and then kill the walker with the car door. Like, it was just so creative. And again, I always praise the show when it has those little creative inputs into how to make the universe interesting. Then also, we had rock climbing with walkers, which, I mean, like, I'm trying to think of the activities that you can do. I mean, they must just be going down the list. Like, all right, of all the physical activities and things that you can do, what are circumstances that we haven't had a walker thrown into? I mean, swimming, we kind of had that in in season 2 with the Strands giant boat. And then, and then you've had a lot of situations where the walkers can be thrown into it. You had the flaming walkers. You had all sorts. Obviously, The Walking Dead. We had the snow walkers from the season 9 finale. We had the ones where they're frozen solid, and Daryl was able to just break its head with its crossbow. So the rock climbing walkers, that was an interesting one. That was a really interesting one because the walker's stuck, but at one point Althea has to use the hook of the dead guy to boost herself up, and they're trying to coordinate so they can actually climb to the top of this mountain. And really, the mission, it's the episode, the mission is that Isabel, the helicopter group soldier, is just trying to get fuel for her helicopter to basically just get supplies and get out. She reveals that they were trying to purify the water that was near the melted down nuclear plant, and we do know this because there was the episode a few episodes back when that scientist from the nuclear plant was trying to take out the walkers that had the radioactive spores on them so that they weren't contaminating the area Chernobyl style. So they seem to be aware of this as well. And I was getting like Fallout 3 Project Purity vibes. I was like, so is the overall goal for this region to purify the water, or is this some sort of bigger goal? She doesn't say it. It's funny because at one point she says to Althea, "Fine, you want that interview? I'll give it to you." And then I was like, "Oh shit! Like, are they going to reveal some things?" And No, I mean, they were very careful, and because they want the movies to reveal everything about this group and what's going on with it. This was really just a teaser. There were some elements that were revealed, such as the armor that they have on. The walkers cannot bite through it. So when Althea had it on, the walker popped up through the rubble and actually tried to snag her wrist, and the suit it couldn't get through it. And yeah, I mean, people could say, because I've seen a lot of people like arguing that, oh, maybe this is the Commonwealth and the super soldiers from the Commonwealth, their armor, they're impervious to the walker bites as well. And I was like, nah, I mean, but it's a little different. Again, I think the Commonwealth is for the Walking Dead show. We had the teaser for it with the radio at the end of season 9. I think that's separate. They're two different things. I argue that they're two different things. We can debate about this. Season 10 of The Walking Dead will probably reveal more, I'd have to assume, because we had the radio teaser, so obviously we're probably going to get more of that in addition to the Whisperers. But I still think they're two different things. So even though the armor capabilities are similar, they're two different groups. I mean, this is, the black-suited individuals. The Commonwealth has red and white uniforms, at least in how the comic book, Robert Kirkman's comic book, portrays them. So I'd say they're two different things. But, yeah, there's great... I mean, because the episode, I'd say 99% of the episode focuses on Isabella and Althea. And it goes into... It goes into their character development. It's just like... Because Isabel clearly has been molded by this group into being an obedient soldier, but then you get hints of her past and how she used to be, and the scene where they share a beer, and they're kind of like, she says like that their group is trying to bring the world into the future, into how people used to live, how the world was before everything went to shit, and whatever work they're doing is trying to bring everything back to that. And so sharing a simple beer and just kind of having these things, like, it can be normal again. And there was that hint that, like, what they were doing didn't seem so crazy in the apocalypse. And it kind of reminds me of, like, The Walking Dead Season 5 when Rick encountered Alexandria and Deanna was very hopeful about a vibrant community and kids going to school. Like, it was all like mind-blowing things and concepts for that period of time, but this is really like a reboot of society that this group is promising. But because Isabel also seems to think that, like, it's not a good place. She says, the place where I'm from, you don't want to go there. It seems like this place definitely is a prison that has very strict... obviously, I mean, Isabel was... her safest bet would probably have been to kill Althea. She was obsessed with getting the tape that Althea took of that radio, the information that was on that card, or whatever the heck was on that soldier. And so there's very strict, very just like Alcatraz-like, just totalitarian guidelines, almost like, I'd say, Soviet Union, where like all the information is very protected and contained, nothing gets out, the truth is what they make it. And so they're trying to make this existence, at least from what I've seen, kind of what Isabel was was describing. And again, it seems like, she described how that the soldier that we saw in the first episode seemed to be her, or was her friend that she had to kill because the guy was breaking protocol. So yeah, it was like, what was it? Operational security was the term she kept throwing out at Althea. And then at the very end, it was pretty obvious that, she wasn't going to kill her, but because they had been building up this relationship throughout the episode, and I was like, they're sharing some light moments, but I was like, this is actually going a little beyond, and I was like, am I crazy for thinking that? And I kind of put the thought out of my head. I was like, all right, maybe I'm overreaching here a little bit, but then when Isabel couldn't pull the trigger, and then they started talking to each other, and especially when Althea gave her the tape of her brother, she's like, if you're gonna kill me, here's the tape, and just I want to remember, blah blah blah. And then they embraced, and they started kissing. I was like, okay, I wasn't totally off with that assessment earlier. There was this happy Gay Pride Month. I mean, it's funny because actually when I'm recording this, it's June 30th, so it's literally the last day of June, and they snuck it in there. So very very appropriate to have that episode fall there. I don't know if they planned that, but they definitely. I mean, it worked out. So, I mean, it was nice. I actually was like, I'm actually kind of gonna miss this character dynamic. It was a nice character dynamic, and you could tell when Isabel flies off in the helicopter when she's looking at the tape that she still has that tape. She's thinking like, she probably is like, damn, like I actually enjoyed being a human and not just a blind, robotic person just obeying commands from whoever the heck this helicopter group is. So, am I surprised that they didn't reveal a lot of information? Not necessarily. I knew that this was going to be more of, for Althea, since it was a character-driven episode, we got to learn a lot about her. And she seemed a lot more comfortable because the funny thing is, she was always the one interviewing people and talking to people and wanting to know their story. But the ironic part is that you didn't really know her story. So you get all these tapes and files of people that she had talked to, but you never found out who she was. And this episode kind of illuminated why she saves the tapes, why they're so important, her philosophy into all of the documentation that she takes with it. So it was good. I liked it. I really enjoyed the direction that they went with this episode. There's still this haze hanging over the helicopter group, and my question for Fear the Walking Dead Season 5 is, where does it go from here? Because there's really no clear-cut villain. All of those freaking kids have joined Morgan in the group, and now they're just trying to survive together. So what's, like, the big conflict? Because we wrapped up all of the Salazar stuff last episode. He came around and kind of joined the group. We had that nice moment with Strand. Now it seems like the helicopter mystery, like the helicopter just kind of flies off after Althea has her character-driven episode. So what is... Because you got 6, 7, and 8 until the mid-season. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of what is the plot? Like, what are they building to? Like, I mean, we don't know where Sherry is. I mean, there's the side plot with Dwight, but I don't know. This is a good question to ask in this vlog. I mean, you guys can post, but because for all of these, since that first episode, I was like, oh, they're gonna say stuff about the helicopter group, and then I get to episode 5, we learn some information. They give us a prominent character who could return in the Rick Grimes movies. Now we have a named character who could be in these movies, and we'd be like, oh, I know her, and she has a tape of Al, and there's that, so it gives us a nice little connection. Everything kind of intersects. That's like the intersecting of all of the series, the movies, the original show, and Fear. But, like, where does the rest of this season 5 of Fear go? Like, is the helicopter group going to come back, maybe? Is there something else going on with them? Like, are they still doing... Because it seems like it was pretty clear-cut that Isabel rode off and just left. And they actually synchronized that scene when the two kids, see the soldier. Remember, they're like, who keeps cutting down our roadblocks? And then they're like, oh, like the soldier was cutting down the roadblocks. And at the time, you don't know who it is, but she was killing those two. She had the fuel, and then she left. So it actually synced up as to why she was leaving, because Althea helped her get the fuel. So they actually made it come full circle from the last week's episode. So the little cliffhanger they had with the helicopter, they didn't, like, we didn't get anything for what it was building up to. And I don't know if we are going to, because it seems like it's done. It just seems like, but now like they finished it, and now there's like not much left to do in this season. I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch next week's episode to see like where they're bringing the plot. It seems like, Morgan's crossing in the previews, he's crossing into the nuclear site. I don't know, maybe there's more of with the nuclear power thing or whatever, and the contamination. Then maybe I don't know, like, but there's no villain, there's no, like, I don't know, because at least with the helicopter thing, you had that mystery. People knew what it was because it was connected to Jadis's whole weird thing from season 7, and then you had the Rick Grimes part, obviously. But now it seems like they've taken that away. They're like, okay, we gave you a little bit of a teaser. Now the helicopter is going to fly away into the great beyond, and we're going to address it whenever the freaking Rick Grimes movies come out. And now it's like, well, what the heck is Fear the Walking Dead doing now in season 5? Like, I thought that they were going to probably try to bring more interest to this show by making that a focal plot point and then leaving it for the movies. But I don't know. It's too early to judge. I'll watch the rest of the season, because then I can go back and assess it and see if they did go in the right direction or if they went in a boring, just wrong direction. Because I feel like these past couple of episodes have been pretty decent, but because for me, it's like, I just don't know what comes next. I don't know what comes next. And maybe you guys can fill in the blanks for me. So comment, rate, and subscribe, and let me know. And what do you think about this episode? What I give this episode in terms of rating? Because I always have to give my ratings for the episodes. I don't know. I don't know if I should be biased. I'll give it a 9. This episode, I did like it. I mean, it was focused. It was very character focused. It was a character driven episode. Even though you had this immense plot hanging over everything, I think that helped it, because the fact that you had this immense story, like, this character is part of a huge plot line. She's one puzzle piece in a huge plot line, and that knowledge, like how it interacted with Al and how she is actually a piece of many other stories that she's collected. You had these two characters that were very, very similar to each other, and they learned that as they survived together, did the rock climbing, and just hung around, shared a beer together. It was nice to have that dynamic. It was nice in the show. It didn't feel like it was just boring and irrelevant, because, again, it was connecting to a bigger plot line that we're going to get more details on. So I think it accomplished what it set out to do. I do. I fully believe that. So, it was a good episode. And again, my only criticism is I don't know where the heck yet, because they wrapped it all up. Like, I just don't know where the heck the rest of the show is going now. So, but hopefully we'll figure that out as time goes on. So, thank you guys for watching. This has been the Aerie Lord doing another review vlog, and happy 4th of July. And I will be, regardless of the holiday, I'll be watching Fear at 9 and then doing one of my vlogs for you after that. So, alright, thank you very much, and I will see you later. Peace out.